What is going on, everybody? HolliwoodKole back for another Smooth Ramblings. Just wanted to, got the urge to lay on a podcast, so I figured I would just go ahead and do that. Some pretty cool things I've been reading in the news. Just want to talk about, also just talk about something that's pretty cool that happened at work. I'm in the military, if you guys do not know, or haven't been listening to the show for very long. And I have a new job, which just means I moved shops. And so I was in the building that I'm working now, and I went to my office for the first time today, turn on the light, and there is a Galaga machine in the corner of the office, and a military shop, which is pretty cool. It's not like an IT shop or something where they kind of have all this hey, look, we're real cool type of fun things. Like my wife used to work at one that had a slide from like the top second story to the bottom story. So you'd expect to have an arcade cabinet there. Would not expect it in the military. It was the last thing I expected to have. And it's not a stand-up one. It's actually one that you sit down and the screen's like pointed up. It's a 2-player too. So it's a controller and buttons on each side. I took a picture of it and posted it on Twitter. It was unplugged, so I'm going to have to plug it in tomorrow and see if this thing works. But that was pretty cool. I wonder, I just try to figure out the story of where that comes from and whatnot. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. So we have me and my wife were trying to play Resident Evil 2 to do a review on that. If you haven't heard our Until Dawn, she's there. Her name is Maiden Kane. She wasn't really into Resident Evil 2. Too many puzzles and stuff like that. She wanted a story-driven. A little bit more story-driven narrative, and honestly, the Resident Evil story is a little bit convoluted. Even after you know it, you kind of get the gist of it. I definitely didn't know it back then, and I'm kind of getting the gist of it now. They did simplify it. I went back and watched a playthrough of the original Resident Evil 2, and it's I don't know. I just never really got into the story. Just shooting zombies, it was cool. And Resident Evil 2 makes the story a little bit more palatable, and they did a great job with that remake. I'm going to do a review on that one at some point. It's going to be one of my first real reviews that I'm going to take the time and try to write out. I don't know how long it'll be. Probably it's not going to be nothing compared to an H&K review that's an hour long. It'll be solely for a review. But put some stuff on YouTube with that, and some playthrough on there if you haven't seen it. It's actually a video I just dropped that me and Nick Thimianos did, which is modern versus retro gaming. I do have some playthrough from Resident Evil 2 on that, as well as Red Dead Redemption 2. But anyway, I was reading the news today. Activision and Blizzard, which is all to be expected, but I'll say it anyway. Kind of because we've always kind of attacked the Destiny business model, blamed it all on Activision. And if you've read the truth, if you've read the truth about Bungie, which would be in the book Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, is where I got a lot of the information from. In our podcast, The Truth About Bungie, you realize it was a lot to do with the developer, although the publisher, I'm sure, had a hand in it. You didn't really talk a whole lot about that. Which kind of makes me worried about the Anthem coming up, which I will talk about in a second. But just kind of how that's this massive open world shooter that everybody's trying to master, which will be awesome. And Destiny had a whole bunch of potential and failed for the reasons we stated in Truth About Bungie. But so Activision is having to do some restructuring. So Activision is unique. Activision and Blizzard, they're both publishers, but they're still run by the same C-suite executives, CEO, COO, and all this in the same building. So, but they are both publishers. Blizzard hasn't released a game since 2016, which is Overwatch, and Activision, of course, their big thing was going to be the Forsaken. Of course, they got. Let's see here. The biggest thing was just going to be Forsaken. That did not meet expectations. So there's a lot of layoffs coming, and the people there, or some people losing sleep tonight. Whether or not they're supposed to be announced tomorrow, who is going to be laid off. And this is common in the video game industry, according to those books. If you have a game that does not do well, you're going to have to let some people go. It's good while it's good. It's bad when it's bad. It's kind of like the movie industry, I'm assuming. I got a little bit of a film background, but learned that while I was doing all that back in the day, that most movies are actually failures. I didn't realize this, but the movies that do well make up for all the movies that do poorly. I'm assuming the video game industry is very similar, if not the exact same way, but most of the people at Activision are assuming it is going to be mostly PR people, marketing, social media stuff that they all hired for Destiny. And that's what they're assuming. Most people think theirs is safe, but all of that publishing and marketing and whatnot is going to go directly to Activision instead of their teams and stuff that they hired out for that. Activision is going to take the helm on just whatever for Blizzard, it looks like. I mean, nobody knows for sure if that's even going to be the case, but that's what they're expecting. But we'll know more about that tomorrow if you're interested. The big thing about that is just, the way that they handle their games as a service. And you just do not want to be taken out of your gaming experience to try to help Activision make money with microtransactions or whatever the case. If they're just very intrusive, they got to be done a certain way. We've already talked about this. But Destiny just seemed like a blatant cash grab, which, after knowing what we know, you can't really blame Activision for just trying to do whatever they could to milk the game for whatever it was. It did not turn out the way that they wanted it to, and that wasn't all their fault. That was Bungie. But very interested to see kind of how they do with that, and just the effects of Activision and kind of how they bounce back from this. They did have Black Ops 4, which was a success, so they did have some success coming out with their games there. But like I said, they just banked a lot on Destiny, and kudos to them for being the publisher that would bite off on this pitch that Bungie threw out to create a game like this. Now EA's following suit with Anthem, and we'll find out if this is going to be a common thing. And games as a service is the new thing that they're trying to go to, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. At first, you're kind of like, oh, any change to our video games are bad. But if you release a $60 game and keep updating it, every at least one big update a year, just like Destiny did, and I wish that you could, keep the old content in there, just like those old MMOs where you can kind of go back to a place that used to be difficult, like the first raid, 5 years later, and just dominate and solo it or something. That kind of stuff is fun to me, but that's what they mean with games as a service, just like WoW, instead of just releasing a new game every so often. But anyway, also read about something, the 12 best games for the PS4. This is on Kotaku. And it's pretty cool. I think I've played half of these, but if you have a PS4 and you have not played these, you need to. Horizon Zero Dawn, we've always talked about that. Of course, that is a great game, open world game. Gives you a lot of options on how to tackle certain missions, which is always fun. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the same way. Very slow cowboy walk. In fact, the write-up even said if you're a Sonic fan, you probably won't like Red Dead because he walks the exact opposite of speed, right? He's just so slow. And everything is slow on there, so you got to just kind of take it all in. And there's something about Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know what it is, but when I play it, it's just I play like 2 or 3 missions, and I'm ready to turn it off. I mean, it's not bad. I just cannot get into it. But anyway, number 3 is The Witness, and it's some puzzle game on an island. I've never heard of it, never even seen it, except for this thumbnail that they had, and it looked like it was some indie game. Kind of cartoonish, but it's very difficult puzzles. It's just a puzzle game. And then Nier Automata, that's what it is. Nier Automata, number 4. That's a game that Coach has been loving. Every time I get on PlayStation, he's on there. He's playing that game. RPG fan. Next time we have him on here, I'm going to have him talk about that a little bit. And then the Yakuza series is number 5. This is actually Yakuza 0. I've never played that one. The Witcher 3, of course, that is a must-play. If you have not played that is a awesome adventure game. Tetris Effect, puzzle game, little twist on Tetris supposedly. I'm not a Tetris fan, but this did look fun. This is electronic music. They probably put some twist on it. I don't know. Overwatch was fun. That's the game Blizzard released. We just talked about Monster Hunter World, of course. We've talked about it a million times. Bloodborne, I have, but I have not played it. It came out for free on PSN, and just the main character just looks, and he's got like a gun shaped like a skeleton type of thing. I mean, I don't know what it is in a sword. The sword is all weird shaped. It's oddly shaped. It's just like I can't get into that. I can't relate to the character, but I definitely need to check it out. It's more of the Dark Souls type of people, kind of frustrating, tough game, but rewarding game, it seems like. So I hadn't played it, so who knows? It's probably pretty fun. God of War is number 12, and 11 is Persona 5, which is an RPG. And I've only played Persona 4 on PlayStation Vita, which I really enjoyed. It's just put together very well. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just fun to look at. It's beautiful. And it's about high school kids and like an RPG or something. But I mean, I remember every time I think of the Persona game, I think of this. And this is just something so simple. Because sometimes I'll get real into games and I'll feel like I got to do every little aspect of the side quests and all this kind of stuff. And it starts to feel like a part-time job or something. And I just lose interest in it because I just feel like I'm not having fun. I feel like I'm just doing things because I have to do them. And when you turn on Persona for the first time on the Vita, it tells you kind of, this game is made by blah, 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 and it takes place here. But then it says, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy the game. And I mean, just having that message was a big deal. I mean, it's like, yeah, why don't I just sit back and enjoy the game? But I admire the Persona series just for that simple message. And, of course, it's a very well put together game. That is the only one I've played, though, 4. But 5, definitely need to check it out for a PS4. Not mentioned on here, though, Dragon Quest 11 is one of those games that is so easily forgotten about. But, super popular in Japan. It's an RPG that I definitely need to check out. But do not start it unless you have some time. Because I guarantee that's an over 100-hour game very easily. And so, if you like those Japanese RPGs, definitely one to check out. All right, so if Resident Evil 2, as I was talking about the remake, if somebody had me to describe that, I would always say this is the best remake I've ever played. Okay, they did a great job, and I'm probably going to reiterate some of this stuff in my actual review, but I kind of always just told people that asked me about it that it's just they did keep the classic moments in there. A lot of jump scares that were classic, but they don't put them in the same spot because you already know. But they keep those in there, and they give the game still feels like a brand new experience. It's just so good. I don't want to get too deep into that. The only thing that I want to mention that is because at some point there is a Mr. X character, and this is the big, tall, big dude in a top hat, not a top hat, but like a fedora and a trench coat, and he is just mean mugging you and walking around, he's staring at you the entire time and walking straight at you, and you got to shoot him in the head or something to get him to just stop. He will not die. He'll stop and kneel down, and you need to run off. If you sit there and look at him, he'll eventually get back up. Even if you don't look at him, he eventually gets back up. And Leon's story is by far the scariest one because this dude is chasing you all around. He does in Claire's too, but not to that extent. And again, I'll kind of get into this in the review, I'm sure. But you hear it. If you're in a room, you'll hear it. And he's just walking above you, walking around somewhere you don't know exactly, but it's constant. And you are always on the lookout for this dude. And so many times the music will eventually change when he gets in the room with you. But that's how you kind of know that he's in the room. But before you really knew that, it's just a little subtle. You turn around, he's just right in your face, about to swing on you. And dude, it scares you to death. But very suspenseful, the remake. But somebody figured out how to summon 2 of those dudes to chase you around. Because there are some fixed portions of the game where he will jump out at you. And other times he's just chasing you, once you see him. And so somebody got the one that's chasing you around to follow him to a scripted event and made one jump out. So now there's 2 chasing him. He's got it on YouTube. And it's already freaky enough to have 1, but now you got 2. That's just the basics of the glitch. I don't know how to get it to happen, but it is a glitch. It's not supposed to happen. So, but anyway, you'll hear more about Mr. X when, if you've played the Final Fantasy II remake, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But you'll hear more about him during my review. I just thought that was pretty cool. And then I wanted to talk about this. It's pretty funny. When I read this story, I thought exactly of our GoldenEye with Coach, the kinda review that I left, because we just kind of got on there and started laughing and cutting up. Didn't really do a lot of talk about. We did talk about GoldenEye, but we didn't really talk about the game. Just kind of our experiences a little bit. But and being a shooter player, it's not. And I love shotguns on games. And people usually start complaining about them, particularly quick snipers. It seems they love to complain about how powerful the shotgun is, even though you got to be right in their grill for it to work. But it'll stop a quick sniper. That's probably why they don't like it. But anyway, I saw Apex Legends is a new game out, and it's similar to, from what I understand, it's from EA. It's similar to Fortnite. And it's kind of picking up the same steam. I haven't not played it. I've just seen pictures of it. I'm not a big Fortnite player or a Battle Royale fan. I'm going to have to check this game out, though. If you are a streamer, start playing it, because you can probably gain a lot of followers. I don't know how many people are playing it, but probably not as many as playing Fortnite. So it's something to, definitely something to consider if you want to do some Twitch. But anyway, I saw a story, and it was about Apex Legends shotgun called the Mozambique shotgun. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Already this brand new game is getting ready to talk about people using shotguns and need to nerf it and all this. But it was the exact opposite. It was just talking about how terrible this Mozambique shotgun is. It says the Mozambique shotgun just sucks. And this writer, I had to mention her, Gita Jackson, also from Kotaku. She did a great editorial about it. But it reminded me of the Klob, is why I brought up GoldenEye, but about how it's just a terrible gun. It's named after Ken Lobb, and the game kind of makes you pick it up. We always say it spawns you on the Klob, since nobody wants to pick it up. And so the Mozambique is a joke amongst the Apex players already. People will not pick it up. It's got little damage, a little ammo, right? Kind of like the Klob. I think it had 20 shots and it did no damage. And they just kind of, you wonder where they get this idea from. Mozambique may be obviously a joke. The Klob, though, was that a joke, or did it just, I don't know what that was about. It's supposed to be the Scorpion. That's the Scorpion gun. It's supposed to kind of mimic that, which would be a short range, fire, spray and pray type of weapon. But anyway, I got to tell you what Jackson wrote. She says, whenever you land on the map, you'll find a Mozambique, because they're everywhere, and people just won't pick them up because they don't even want to be seen carrying them. That's how bad they are. So she says, whenever I land on a map, or you land on the map, you'll find a Mozambique. She says, sometimes if all that's around is a Mozambique, I just go off bare-fisted instead of picking it up. I mean, if I really want a gun, I'll probably find another Mozambique 5 feet away. And that is a great description in just, 2 sentences, and great use of the word Mozambique. So I thought that was pretty funny. Well done there. But so if you watch out for that Mozambique and just kind of check. She posted a lot of other things about some people's funny comments and stuff. But, it's probably one of those things where you kind of got to play it and really get into it. But they were saying, I hope that they never take the Mozambique out, because I like the jokes that people write about it. But anyway, it's something I've been wanting to mention in a while. If you are a Switch owner, and I don't understand this, and I was going to bring this up to Clear, and I probably still will, but the other day I was on the shop, and dude, the games go on sale like ridiculously cheap. I literally saw a game on sale for 1 cent on Switch, the Switch Nintendo shop or whatever it is. 1 cent. What? Why would you sell it for 1 cent and not just give it away for free? Sell it for 10 cents or something. I don't know, 50 cents, $1, but 1 cent. It's just so weird. I have no idea why that is, but I mean, you would sell 10,000 of them, you made $100. 10,000 games, you made $100. Not to mention, to use a credit card, it's like 2.5%, so you're really only getting 1/7 of a cent to, it's so crazy. Why would you do that? But to this day, I have no idea why. But you can go on there and get a lot of pretty good games, a lot of indie games. Switch is still, I think, the indie, king for people, indie developers. They can get them there and just put their game up. But Pretty interesting. Go in there and check it out if you're bored. You find a lot of good prices. And then finally, the Anthem demo that was out, I think last weekend, and I've mentioned on our Sonic episode of how I didn't really play it, just because it had some problems. But I know that Clear did, and some of his friends did, and so they enjoyed it. But BioWare has said, according to Variety, BioWare has said that everything went super smooth, according to BioWare. Much different from the VIP demo that had a lot of bugs in it, and I think that was released a week earlier. I'm not exactly sure. It wasn't a long time earlier, maybe in a couple of days, but I think it was a week earlier. And so they had 40 million hours of play across both demo weekends. So the VIP and the primary demo, 40 million hours played. And this is not uncommon to have the bugs, to have all the bugs in the in some of these games closer to their release date. This is the crunch, as they say, where they're working 16-hour days or whatever to try to iron out all these bugs. That's the boring part for the developers, but they'll get it done. And I do have faith that Anthem will, or the developer BioWare will get all the bugs out of Anthem by the time it's released on the 22nd. And they've even said, our developing team is working hard on finalizing our launch builds and beginning our countdown preparations. There's so much more than what you saw in the demo, and we can't wait for you to play it. All right, EA also revealed an Xbox One S Anthem bundle last week that includes a full download of the game along with 1 terabyte Xbox One S console wireless controller and 1 month trials to EA Access, Xbox Game Pass, Xbox Live Gold. Is available for pre-order for $300. And it is a download. It's not a physical game, which these types of games, they're not going to be worth anything later, and you're not even going to be able to collect them. They're not going to be real resellable, or collectible, I guess, because you're not even going to be able to play them later, because once the servers are down, they're gone. And who knows? I mean, they still got EverQuest up. We have our EverQuest podcast that's still getting downloads, so it's very popular. EverQuest, the game, and it's still up. I think Ultima Online is like the only one down. I don't know. That's like that one was before. But it may still be up. I don't think so, though. But, EverQuest is still up. World of Warcraft is still up. It's 2004, so, 15-year-old game. So they will stay up for a long time. A 15-year-old is now 30 years old, still playing World of Warcraft, and that shows no signs of stopping. So who knows? Who knows how long these things will stay up? The only difference is those are computer games, and consoles, though, are, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. It's going to be old hardware, and it pretty much is old hardware the day that it's released for consoles. So, 15 years later, let's just do some math here, 2019, that'd be 2004. So you're talking PlayStation, that's right when the Xbox 360 was released. So right in that PlayStation 2 era, ending, and Xbox One, or Xbox 360 coming in. Yeah, terrible graphics. How long is that game going to go before something else is released? So it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of a new concept for everybody, but we'll sit back and enjoy it while we can. I'm looking forward to Anthem. I'm going to wait a week after its release probably before I dive in, because even if you get it on opening day, I guarantee you're going to have some server issues and you're not even going to be able to play for at least 24 hours, at least. Might as well just wait until I have no idea why server issues are always a problem on these games. It's like, just overdo it, man. Get way more servers than you need so you don't have server issues, and then cut back. Don't just, I'm assuming that's what it is. There's got to be something more to it, but who knows? But anyway, thanks for listening. I wanted to just lay something down real quick. As I said, maybe this will be a normal thing. I enjoyed reading these stories and sharing them with you. So check back in with us, HolliwoodKole Smooth Ramblings, or a fireside chat, or an H&K for the latest in gaming news and reviews and overall video game experiences. Take care.